I'm Erlene, registered dietitian and food advocate for healthy eating. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite foods, whole grains. Everyone's telling us we need to eat whole grains 3 times a day. Yet you walk down to the bulk food section and you see all these browns and beiges and you go, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? So this show is to show you how simple it is to make whole grains using a simple rice cooker. I can understand why people are confused about whole grains, especially when you look up on the shelves and you see all these different whole grain products. But the reality is, for our purposes, a whole grain is going to be the entire seed, kernel, or berry of the actual cereal plant. It's completely intact and it has not been processed. Now, a lot of people are familiar with bulgur, and a number of the bulgurs are actually not a whole grain. It will be processed. Chances are they've removed part of the whole grain. In order to be a whole grain, it has to be the entire berry, kernel, or seed of the plant without having any type of refinement. Now, since bulgur is only part of the grain, what they've done is they've removed the germ in a lot of the cases of whole grain. Germ is where you're going to find the proteins, the B vitamins, the minerals, the phytonutrients, the antioxidants, and also the unsaturated fatty acids. Now the problem is, once you break open what nature has protected it with, in light, air, or heat gets into the equation, it's going to start to go bad. And you can, a lot of times, if you've had some whole grain sitting around for, I don't know, a couple of years, and you smell it and it has that rancid odor, I don't recommend eating it. A real good idea is to store your whole grains in a nice glass jar, and that way, if you have it airtight, and you put it in a dark cupboard away from light and away from excessive oxygen, etc., it's going to last a lot longer. Before using any of your whole grains, to sniff it. And if it smells fresh, you know it's good. If it has kind of an off odor or it doesn't smell really good, don't eat it. One of the grains we're not going to be talking about today is corn. It's very difficult to find organic corn in this day and age, believe it or not. And all the other grains we're going to be talking about are genetically modified, organism free. They are not going to have any GMOs. And you do not know that about corn, so we won't even be bothering with corn during this talk. Now, one of the cool things about grains is we know that by eating them 3 times a day, you're going to see a reduction in strokes, heart disease, you're going to have a better blood pressure. Whole grains have been shown to help with maintaining a healthy weight. But for our purposes, I'm going to show you just how, one, inexpensive they are. You can buy a pound for just a little over $1, and that's going to give you 8 servings. Another thing I'm going to show you is just how versatile whole grains are. You can eat them for breakfast, you can eat them for lunch, dinner. You can have them as a main dish, like I'm going to show you in our stuffed portobello mushrooms, or an appetizer. And you can also have them as a dessert. So they're very versatile. They're very easy to use. And I'm going to just show you how simple it is to make whole grains using one of my favorite appliances, the rice cooker. Rice cookers are very inexpensive. I got this rice cooker probably about 10 years ago, and it has been great. I use it practically every single week. And the thing I love about any rice cooker is that it has an automatic shut-off. So all you have to do is put in 1 cup of grain to 2 cups of liquid, cover it, turn it on, go off, walk your dog, play with your kids, set the table, whatever. When you come back, anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes, it's going to be done perfect every time. So what I have here is a mixture of some oats and some barley. Oats and barley are some of my favorite grains. They're very high in fiber, and I love cooking them with a dark beer. So I'm going to be adding dark beer as the liquid. You can use just about any liquid when you're making whole grains. Sometimes I'll use coconut water. Sometimes I'll use fruit juice. Other times I might use just a broth. So you can use pretty much any kind of liquid you want as long as you remember a 2-to-1 ratio starting off. Now, some of the grains we'll find have a little bit tougher of a grain, and they typically are used more for grinding into making to flours. However, if you soak them, like either a couple of hours or overnight, it'll soften that outer shell so they'll cook a lot quicker for you and they'll be a lot softer. Kamut, for example, is a very hard grain, and typically I would soak this for a couple of hours in maybe a cup of the liquid, and it'll absorb the liquid really nice. And then when I go to cook it, I'll add 2 cups of liquid to my cup of dried grains and my cup of soaked in liquid, and then I'll have a very nice side dish using kamut or even spelt. Some grains like buckwheat, for example, is a very soft grain, and so I like to find maybe toasted buckwheat, and that'll hold its shape and not get quite so mushy in the cooking. So just remember a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 cups of liquid to 1 cup of grain, a rice cooker, turn it on, walk away, go do something fun, and you have some whole grains. And you can store those cooked whole grains in the refrigerator for 3 to 4 days and take out what you'll need for whatever meal you like.